plans. No sermon today. No. Change of plans. No cliffhanger part 2 this week. Remember last week we had that cliffhanger. I talked to you guys about it. If you used to go to the movies, if you're slightly older than me, probably, maybe, you go to the movies and they had a cliffhanger. They wanted you to come back next week. Well, we had that. Remember last week? Jesus was like the man, right? And then what happened this week in the gospel? Uh-oh. All of a sudden he started talking about the Gentiles and people other than him, the Jews being privileged and getting things, and things went south really quick. So much so that his friends and family literally took him to the brow of a hill. They were going to toss him off. But you know, Jesus, he has, I don't know, I guess what would you call it? He has that Jedi skill, right? You just walk right through him. He's not the drone, the droid you're looking for. You walk away. So the cliffhanger is, you know, Jesus managed to get out of that one, right? Praise God, right? Thank God he did, right? This week, though, was just too tempting. I'm sorry. And Tracy, I love the way Tracy read the second reading. I like it when Tracy reads is the reader, because there's sort of a little tinge of like her classroom. Can you feel the lilt of a teacher in her teaching? And it was cool today that she did the love, because she really brought it home, and I love that. It was just too tempting, though. I know the cliffhanger and everything, but talk about coming up in the lectionary, 1 Corinthians 13. Come on, you got to do it. Famous exhortation by the Apostle Paul to the Corinthians was actually written to kind of knock them down a notch, knock them down a peg or two. You see, because the Corinthians, they thought they had this God thing all figured out. They really did. They thought they were basically right there, you know, angels. Oh, we're so smart, and we have a command of the arts, and we're a harbor city, and everything runs through us. You had to they thought they had the God thing all figured out, that they had achieved a new level that was above everybody else. Paul had to bring them back down to earth and let them know that may very well be. They may very well be some of the smartest people on earth. But without love, they're nothing. Little did the Apostle Paul realize also that those words would be used universally to describe where the bar would be set for love in marriages, in the confines of marriage ever since. One of my seminary professors is a gentleman named Leonard Sweet, and he says that love is one of the hardest topics to preach on. And I thought, I wonder why. It would seem like it would be fairly easy. But here's the thing. In 2012, the #1 Google search was, what do you think? Love. What is love? That was the #1 Google search in 2012. We could have saved them a whole lot of time, right? Because we could have told them not what is love, but who is love. God is love. God is love, Jesus is a lover, and the Spirit is loving. So maybe we do a mashup. Let's do a mashup. You like those? I like those. Mashups of songs and stuff. Let's do a mashup of 2 words. Mystery and Christ. You see, love, apparently, according to Google, love is the mystery of life. And God is love. So there you have the word. Ready for it? Christery. Christery. I like it. Christery. Any of you heard of Charles Haddon Spurgeon? Probably famous Baptist preacher. He once came upon a barn where a farmer had the words painted, God is love, big bold letters, right under the weather vane on his barn. And Spurgeon came along and said to this gentleman, dear sir, to this farmer, dear sir, are you implying that God's love is changing like the wind? Is that what you're saying? And the farmer said to him, no, I'm actually saying that no matter which way the wind blows, God is love. No matter which way the wind blows, God is love. Who likes the Super Bowl? Raise the hands. Yeah, that's what I thought. B? No? Okay. Funny thing is, I think a lot of non-sports fans also like the Super Bowl, though. You know why? Why do you think?
Halftime show.
Halftime show, oh man, okay, I'm just going to say right now, quick rabbit trail, sorry. I'm totally looking forward to Snoop Dogg and Dre and them at halftime. I know everybody else is like, no, but I'm like, yes. I think it'll be kind of cool. Halftime show, yes, but what's the other? Commercials, thank you, Marta. Whoa, I almost ran over the drums. The commercials. Everybody loves the commercials, right? New York Life had a commercial last year that we as Lutherans should have done. We should have thought of this. Lutheran Social Services, or the Lutheran LCMC should have done this commercial. It was done by New York Life. Apparently they wanted to introduce the world to the 4 different meanings of the word love in the Greek. Well, and that's cool. See, to them, to really understand the meaning of love, you have to understand all of the nuances of the word love in the Greek language. But the fact is, they actually got it slightly wrong, because there's actually at least 7 words for love in the Greek language. Just a couple. Everybody knows eros, right? Eros, that's probably your maybe favorite, I don't know, romantic, passionate love. Then we have phileo, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Phileo is authentic and intimate friendship. There's one I hadn't heard of, to tell you the truth. Ludic, L-U-D-I-C, playful, flirtatious love. Then there's storge, which is instinctual or family love, the love of a family that's just ingrained in us. And there's actually more. But the one above all other, the pinnacle, is what? Who said it? Who said agape? You get the star. Was that Linnea? She was the first service. Agape. Agape, the lay it down, sacrificial suffering and unconditional love, which is at the heart, the very being of God. And this is the word that Paul uses in that famous love chapter, agape. We're not only called to love our brothers and sisters as they love us, but we should take it one step further. We should have the same all-encompassing, unconditional love of the Father. As Christians, and that's what we are, right? Christians. And what does that word mean? Little Christ. Who said it? Dean? All right. Little Christ. That's what it means. We should be known. Our calling card, when we come up to somebody, our calling card should be agape love. Agape love. One of the passages in today's, that Tracy read today, said this. It said something like this. Love does not keep a ledger, right? Love does not keep a record of wrongs. When love is in the mix, there's no danger assessment, no record keeping, accounting. Dare I say, accountability even goes by the wayside, at least for short periods of time. That's why sometimes the term accountability partner sometimes can be problematic. It's good, but on the other hand, you know, if someone comes running up to you and says, God told me I need to be your accountability partner, you know what you should do? Does anybody say run? Because that's what you should do. It's like turn and run, basically. But here's the thing. We all need a Nathan. Who remembers Nathan, the prophet, David? With David. Remember David, man after God's own heart, but he had some problems, right? Adultery, murder, to name a couple. Nathan was there for King David. You see, the thing is, we all need someone to stick a bony finger. There's an image for you. We all need someone to basically stick a bony finger in our face and say this. Not like tapping our chest, but sort of in love, but bony finger. I love you enough to tell you this. You need to remember your calling. God has chosen you, but you've forgotten your calling. You need to cling to it and remember it. These people are lovers. They act like an editor. They act like an editor, editing our life story right with us. I mean, we already know who the author is, right? Jesus is the author of our lives. People are hopefully our Nathans and our editors. We all need a Nathan. You see, because remember, when love is involved, there's no risk assessment, no danger skirting, no scorekeeping, and checkbook balancing. I can't get my checkbook to balance, man. I've prided myself for the last years. I've always got it to balance exactly. Right now I'm in this funk where I can't, and it's driving me crazy. Anyway, God might be calling you to be a Nathan to someone, and that's an honor. And here's the thing, nobody wants to be a Nathan for anybody else unless they have what? Love. Because see, without love, we're just so wrapped up in our own lives. I'm not going to be a Nathan to you. I've got my own problems to work out. So it really does all hinge on love. And we have the perfect example of love. God showed us what it truly means to love. He sent his one and only Son, right? John 3:16. I saw it the other day again at a football game. I hadn't seen it for years. And all of a sudden I saw John 3:16. I was like, all right, cool. It wasn't the multi-haired dude. Remember him? It wasn't him, but it was somebody. For God so loved the world, what? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he gave his one and only Son to save us because God is love. He sent the greatest lover that's ever lived, his Son Jesus. God laid down his supreme divinity, his supreme right to share his life with who? Us. Us. This next part I think is going to blow your mind. I really do. I think because it sort of blew mine. Love choices began way back in the fall. Back at the fall. That moment in our origin story that changed everything. Adam had a relationship with Eve that he treasured so much that he could not stand to sever that relationship, even though he entered into sin with her. The original couple, the original man and wife, had their eternal lives sustained by the breath of the tree of life, literally ruach, or the breath of God, the breath of the tree of life. But as soon as Eve ate of the tree, that eternal breath was withdrawn. And mankind became mortal, all entering into death. At some point, we're all going to die. There's a spoiler alert. And listen to me now. At that point, Adam had a decision to be made. Do I stay in divine relationship with the tree of life and God and the breath of God and I will live forever? Or do I lay down my life for my partner, Eve? You see, I never thought about that. I bet many of you never did either. You see, that Adam did indeed have a choice. I mean, it's so ingrained in us that we know the choice he made. Duh, we're here today and the world's a fallen place. But I don't think we stop to remember that he actually did have a choice. It gets lost in the shuffle. But he did have a decision. And his choice was what? To choose to love Eve and to basically lay down his life for her. Adam was the second example of agape love ever. You know what the first was? God, when he created us to be in relationship with him. Then Adam, when he laid down his life for his partner. Adam displayed the exact same type of love that God created us to have. Sacrificial, all-consuming, unconditional. In fact, Adam displayed true agape love in his choice, self-surrender, laying down his life for Eve. Adam laid down his divine privilege when he chose Eve. And he also chose true agape love over divinity. Who else has laid down their privilege, their divine privilege for us? Of course, we know who? Jesus. The second Adam, as he's sometimes called, the last Adam. God sent his Son to one and all to display that true meaning of agape love. After all, what did Jesus come to display? His power? His military might? His political influence? His majesty? His supremacy? No. God's ultimate love for each and every one of us. God's love, you see, is a lay it down love. But here's the good news. It's a lay it down, but it's a rise up again love. Lay it down and rise up. The cross became the new tree of life for us. The last Adam laid down his life on that tree, but rose again so that we could re-enter into that garden relationship with God that was forsaken when Adam laid it down for Eve. You see, we're living between two gardens, right? The Garden of Eden, beautiful. Man, I wish we could have lived there forever. And we got heaven, the second garden. And we're in between, and we're just waiting, right? Just waiting. In closing, okay, your hands, they're made for holding. Your feet, or according to Nancy Sinatra, your boots, were made for what?
Walking.
Everybody knows that. Boots are made for walking. Your eyes were made for seeing. Your ears were made for hearing. Guess what? Our hearts, our souls, our minds were made for, what do you think?
Loving.
Boom. Yeah. We've all heard of a poet laureate, right? We've all heard of a poet laureate. When a writer is honored for their achievement in poetry, they're called a poet laureate. Let's all strive to be, I mean, it's okay if you want to be a poet laureate and you're a great poetry writer, go for it. But let's strive to be love laureates. Let's strive to be love laureates. Let's become laureates of love, of true lay it down, agape love. Looking for the greatest lover the world has ever known for our strength and our grace when we fail, because we will. But, beloved, let's try to become lovers of love. Amen.